You won't believe what happened when I stood up to my HOA. From property police to public humiliation, here's the shocking story that will make you question the limits of homeowner association power. Bam! 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 The loud knocks on the door jolted me out of my peaceful morning. I opened the door to find two uniformed police officers standing on my porch, looking stern. My heart sank as I wondered what I had done wrong this time. You see, my homeowner association, or HOA, had been breathing down my neck for months, nitpicking every little thing about my cabin. As I invited the officers in, I couldn't help but think about the chain of events that led to this moment. It all started when I bought this beautiful cabin in the woods, surrounded by tall trees and a serene lake. I thought I had found my little slice of heaven. But little did I know the HOA had other plans. The officers handed me a notice stating that I was violating Section 7, Subsection 3 of the Community Bylaws, which prohibited unsightly structures on properties. I was baffled. What structure? I looked around and saw nothing out of the ordinary. That's when I remembered the conversation I had with Karen, the HOA president, a few weeks ago. Karen had been calling me non-stop, complaining about the rustic look of my cabin, claiming it was an eyesore in the community. I politely told her that I loved the cabin just the way it was, and I wouldn't be making any changes. Apparently, she didn't take kindly to that. As I read through the notice, my anger grew. Who did this HOA think they were, dictating how I should live in my own home? I stormed into my study, pulled out the deed, and began to read. The language was clear. The property owner has full rights to make any alterations or improvements to the property, as long as they comply with local building codes. I remembered the realtor telling me that this community was HOA light, meaning they wouldn't be too strict about the rules. But it seemed Karen and her crew had other ideas. I decided to pay her a visit and clear the air. When I arrived at Karen's office, she was taken aback by my confidence. I slapped the deed on her desk and said, "You see, Karen, this says I can do whatever I want with my property, as long as it's up to code." Her face turned red as she realized I had done my research. The air was thick with tension as Karen and I went head to head. She claimed that the HOA had the authority to enforce the bylaws, and I was violating them. I countered that the bylaws couldn't supersede the deed, and I had the right to enjoy my property as I saw fit. The conversation quickly turned heated, with both of us raising our voices. I accused her of power tripping and harassing me, while she claimed I was being unreasonable and disobedient. It was clear we wouldn't see eye to eye. As the meeting concluded with no resolution, I realized that this battle was far from over. I decided to take a stand and fight for my rights as a homeowner. Little did I know, this would be just the beginning of a long and arduous journey. The day of the HOA meeting arrived, and I was nervous but determined. As I stood before the board, I could feel the weight of the community's gaze upon me. Karen presented her case, claiming that I was a rogue homeowner who refused to comply with the rules. I took a deep breath and began my defense. I explained that I had done nothing wrong, that the deed protected my rights, and the HOA was overstepping its bounds. The room fell silent as I dropped the bombshell. I had obtained a court ruling that supported my position. The board members looked at each other nervously, realizing they might have bitten off more than they could chew. Karen's face turned beet red as she sputtered, "This can't be." The tide had turned in my favor. The meeting concluded with the HOA backing down, acknowledging that they had overstepped their authority. I left the meeting feeling vindicated, knowing that I had stood up for my rights. However, the victory came with a price. The community began to turn against Karen and the HOA board, questioning their motives and actions. It was a powder keg waiting to explode. As the dust settled, I realized that this experience had taught me a valuable lesson. Knowledge is power. By standing up for myself and understanding my rights, I had protected my home and my freedom. Don't let anyone tell you what you can or can't do with your property. Stand up for your rights and fight for what's yours. If you enjoyed this story, hit that subscribe button and join the community of people who refuse to back down. Let's make some noise and take back our freedom.